YouTube, my name is Flightsimguy, and the following video is brought to you through my partnership with FSLEAT.net. FSLEAT.net is our community's latest resource for news, product reviews, and information about everything related to flight simulation. Don't forget to check out the community page where you'll find the latest and greatest sim videos from up-and-coming YouTubers, including yours truly. Now, let's get back to the video. Good morning, YouTube. My name is Flightsimguy. Today I am at Fort Lauderdale International. I am going to Kingston, Jamaica, a regular routine flight, one of my favorite routes. This, however, is not a regular or routine aircraft. Today I'm going to be checking out Flysimware's Learjet 35A. I've had this jet in my hangar for quite some time now, but I've never really done any real flights with it. And I loaded it up a couple days ago, and let me tell you, this is a serious add-on. Okay, don't let it fool you. This is some serious. This is a serious plane. Retails for $31 at all the flight simulation e-commerce sites, and I wouldn't call it a study sim per se, but you can't just get in there and fly. You need to know what you're doing. You got to read the manual. Speaking of manual, I have it right here. 39 pages. That doesn't sound like a lot. However, the only thing they've included in here is an itemized listing of all the instruments and what they do, and that's it. This manual will not help you if you don't know how to fly the plane. There is a tutorial, but it's not in documentation form. It's a video on YouTube that they've published. You have to go check it out. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and check this plane out on the ground. Go through all the features, all the screens and whatnot. Then we'll go ahead and head for Kingston. I'm going to end this video halfway through that flight, and the next video will pick up the descent and approach and land. So before we go inside, let's check out the modeling on the outside. And as you can see, there is a virtual cabin. See right there? And check out the detail. This is some serious add-on, I'm telling you. Look at this. Now, with regards to LearJets, I'm pretty sure one of the first jets anyone's flown when it comes to flight simulation, especially the older guys out there, is the Lear 45, because that came with all versions of Flight Simulator going back almost 20 years. Having said that, once the third product market took off, one of the few jets, or one of the jets you'll notice is missing, is a third-party add-on for LearJets. I'm not exactly sure why that was. And it's been a long time since we actually had a Learjet, but we do. We have this one, and there's also a Lionheart Creations Lear 24B. I'll be doing a review on that one soon. But this is a pretty sweet Learjet. Now, it's an older model, so let's go ahead and take a look on the inside. And as you can see, there is no flight management computer. All right, so before we go through getting set up for a flight, let's go ahead and see what this product has to offer. First, let's do our views. I'm hitting the A key. Okay, so this brings up this. We'll go through that in a second. It's a co-pilot view. This is your lower center pedestal. This is the instruments on the co-pilot side, or the pilot side. Co-pilot instruments. This is your annunciation panel. This is the middle center pedestal. This is your door, and this is the virtual cabin. And each time you hit A at this point, it's cycling through all the seats. Not exactly how much all this stuff is modeled. Let's just go ahead and click on this, see what happens. All right then, a little workspace. And let's go ahead and get back to the cockpit. All right, next, let's do our shift keys. Shift 1. All right, so this is the major configurator. Let's go ahead and check it out. You can go and click this. That fixes everything and fills out the tanks. Okay, clicking on this simply brings up the FSX map. Clicking on this brings up the ATC interface. Clicking on this brings up the GPS. Now, in this case, this works. When you get this aircraft, it comes with about, I don't know, 12 or so liveries. Half of the planes, okay, has interface for Milviz's flight planning tool. It's like a custom GPS or thing that goes right here. If you have that third-party add-on that you can bring up or install for every aircraft, this plane automatically integrates that with that third-party add-on. You don't need to configure it for this plane. And you click on the GPS, it brings up that tool. I don't have that custom GPS. So in this case, for this aircraft or this particular livery, clicking on the GPS actually brings up the GPS. Okay, you with me? To actually get a GPS that works, you need to select one of the liveries that does not have that custom third-party Milviz GPS add-on. Otherwise, if you try clicking on this, nothing happens. And you kind of sort of need your GPS if you want to do any serious long hauls without using VOR navigation. That Milviz navigation or flight planning tool is called a GTN something or another. I honestly don't remember what it is. Just know that some of the liveries requires that particular product. It's called a Flight 1 GTN 750. You need to own that to use some of the plane's GPS features. That particular add-on costs $64. Likewise, this is the Milviz Weather Radar. It looks just like Milviz Weather Radar because it is. I have the Milviz Weather Radar, okay? And if you have that installed on your computer, this aircraft automatically integrates with it and shows it right here, and you can actually use it, okay? Alright, so let's take a look at this. We have the map, we have ATC. In this case, our GPS works because I've selected a livery that uses the stock GPS. This is your kneeboard. And here, you can go ahead and make it ready to start and whatnot. In this case, all systems off. This aircraft options, here you can go ahead and set up some stuff. In this case, we'll go ahead and just leave me, the pilot, and I can give myself some shades and a headset. You can also fire up the GPU cart. Let's see what that looks like. And there it is right there. Go back inside, shift 1. You got to keep bringing it up. You can also put on engine plugs, a shade for the windscreen. You can lock the doors, unlock the doors, luggage cargo. I'm not going to do any of that, and I'm going to take off the GPU. I'm not going to use that. And it has engine start instructions. Read the engine start instructions. Otherwise, you'll spend hours trying to start the engines. And it has instructions for opening and closing the cabin door. Now, obviously, Shift E works just fine, but this is for using the virtual cabin. And as you may recall, Learjet, when it comes to fuel management, it's a little bit complicated because they have several fuel tanks. You have the center main, you have the left wing tank, the left tip tank, the right wing tank, the right tip tank, and you have a center. Learjets only pull fuel from the wing tanks, the left and right. The tip tanks feed to the wing tanks through gravity, and the center tank is a reserve, and you can move fuel from the center tank to the wing tanks through your fuel pumps. It's a little bit complicated. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and fill up the tip tank and the wing tank and not worry about the center tank. Okay? These are your engine start instructions. We'll go through engine start when it's time to get it fired up. And here you have your payload manager. Now, the payload manager is this interface. See, I already fill up all the tanks. And here you can actually load passengers. See? The plane is actually going down a little bit whenever you load one or more passengers. Let's go ahead and empty everything. Now, this works just fine. Out of the box, once you install this aircraft, and by the way, this aircraft is for FSX, FSX Steam, and P3D. It's not P3D version 4, just regular P3D. Versions 1, 2, and 3. To get the payload manager to work, you need to go out to Flightsimware's website and download and install their payload manager DLL files. For some reason, they didn't include it in install. I have no idea why they did that. But to get the payload manager to work, you just go to the website, go to the web page for this aircraft, and it says payload manager. It's free. Just download it. It's less than a megabyte. Just go ahead and install it. So let's go ahead and process this bad boy. Let's see here. Fuel medium. That fills up all the tank and takes out the center tank, which is exactly what we want. Let's go ahead and give ourselves full passengers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. and we'll go ahead and give ourselves some luggage. We will not do any cargo. Alright. Load. Empty. This plane has a range of over 2,000 miles, so in reality, let's see what fuel light. Fuel light should do just fine. 500 miles. We have half the tip tanks, full wing tanks. Total fuel, 3,000 pounds. You know what? Let's give it medium. May have to do a couple go arounds. Okay. And I think that's it with regards to this interface. Click to close that, and Shift 1 removes that. Now, Shift 1. Shift 2 simply brings up what we had before. Positions change because I have cameras mapped to my number keys. Shift 3, GPS. Shift 4, weather radar. Shift 5, engine start instructions. Shift 6, cabin door instructions. Shift 7 is your payload manager, and Shift 8 is not used. Let's go back over here. Alright, let's go ahead and go through the interface. That's how you place and remove your yoke. Okay, coming over here. Here you have your pilot oxygen system. These dimmer switches are all modeled. Okay, this right here must be the oxygen system. And right here we have your switches for your radio. Down here you have your heating systems. Here you have your autopilot master switches right here, radio altimeter switches right here. These are some electrical switches. Emergency battery standby, AC primary bus, fuel computer, and here you have your main electrical systems. Okay, ignition systems, generators, and whatnot. Here you have your I guess these are your warning lights. Here you can test all your warning lights. Here you have some sensors for wing stabilizer, temperatures, cabin temperature, and here's your flaps. Center pedestal. You have your throttles, emergency brakes, engine sync, and here you have some more fuel controls, flaps. Here's your fuel quantity indicator, your yaw damper, your trim. This right here are your secondary COM and nav radios. These are not COM1 and nav1. These are COM2 and nav2. COM1 and nav1 is in here. Alright. I don't need that chatter going, so what I need to do is turn on battery 1, turn this on, turn on my avionics, and change the damn frequency. Let's move it a couple notches and swap them. Alright, we don't want the battery to run out, so let's go ahead and turn off the avionics and turn off the battery. You just saw me tinker with COM1 and swap back and forth with nav1. COM1, nav1 is here, COM2 and nav2 is here. I'm pretty sure you've come across this sort of interface with many other GPSs and other aircraft, so that should not be a big surprise. And here's your ADF. Here's your rudder and aileron trim. And back here has some more audio functions. On the co-pilot side, you have your cabin pressurization system back here. You have your lights back here. Your co-pilot controls for your navigation audio signals or switches. Here you have your circuit breakers, which are not modeled. Some more circuit breakers over here. And this is a Learjet. There is no overhead panel, but you do have your compass. And in the front, you have your annunciation panel right here. You have your fire suppression systems, which are modeled. And here's your autopilot controls. Click this to hold heading, Half bank, you can limit how steep you bank. Nav hold, back course, wing leveler. Here you can test all the lights. When you're using your autopilot, you got to turn on the autopilot master here, and then you also have to engage it here. And this is used to hold speed. Once you click this, whatever speed is on your aircraft speed indicator, the plane will pitch to hold that speed. Vertical speed, whatever your vertical speed says, you click this button, it's gonna modify, it's gonna hold the vertical speed to whatever you set it to. And this is glide slope. This is like your approach hold. This altitude hold holds whatever altitude you're at whenever you click this. Altitude select arms the altitude in the autopilot so that once you're ascending or descending, once you get to the altitude that's dialed here in your altitude settings, it will go ahead and beep at you and then level off and switch to altitude hold. Here are some controls for nav1, or in this case nav1. It shows you, it's your DME, how far away you are. That's the co-pilot side, and here is, where's the pilot side? It's right here. Down here. Okay? And down here is your transponder. And this is the weather radar. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this flight going. Alright, the flight plan is loaded. Fuel is set up. Passenger and cargo is set up. And I have a generic Learjet 35 checklist that I printed from the internet. I'll go ahead and use this. And speaking of Learjet 35, there has been, it's been in the news in the past couple of decades. Two noticeable crashes are worthwhile. Crashes that's worth mentioning. The first one was golfer Payne Stewart. Or was it Stewart Payne? I think it's Payne Stewart. Professional golfer. Back in 1999, he was flying from somewhere in Florida to Dallas, Texas in this model aircraft, and he didn't make his turn, and ATC lost communication with the aircraft. They sent F-16 fighters to intercept, see what's going on, and the windows were all frosted over, and the plane just kept on flying until it ran out of fuel and crashed. And evidently what they think happened was there was an emergency, or the plane suffered decompression. Everyone lost consciousness, and just ran out of fuel and crashed somewhere in the Dakotas. And more recently, I think in 2016, this model aircraft was making a circular approach to Teterboro Airport, I think, in Jersey, somewhere in the East Coast. It was making a circular approach, and they didn't fly the approach right. It stalled, fell short of the runway, and crashed. A security camera caught video footage of the accident. It was pretty dramatic. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. I'm not going to use a checklist to do the startup. I will use a checklist before I taxi and before I take off. Alright? Oh, wow. Let's do some weather. My frames are in the mid-20s right now. Active Sky Next and Active Sky Cloud Art is providing my weather today. And sounds like there's rain somewhere. Good thing I have the weather radar. Cloud ceilings, 5,000 feet. We'll get above that in no time. Alright, let's get started. Remove the yoke. Not using the GPU card, so I need to get my engine started as quickly as possible. Alright. Battery 1, battery 2 on. Turn on my inverters. Avionics master. Alright. Let's just go ahead and get the plane started, and then we can go through everything else. Fuel computer left and right on. Now here's a trick to getting this plane started, okay? Here's a trick to getting the plane started. You have to move your throttles, hold it right here in the middle. God damn it. There we go. There. You got to move the throttle into the cutoff position before you can make any attempts to start it, okay? Turn on the fuel pumps. And now you can go ahead and do your start. In this case, I'm going to start engine number 2 first. Turn on your ignitions, and your start switches are right here. You gotta right click, hold it down. Wait until it hits 22. And then move your throttle to the idle position. Then your engine starts. Let's do engine number 1. Wait for it to come up. There we go. Alright, now we can go through our checklist, make sure all is good. Let's come over to our lights. Strobe should have been on. Let's go ahead and turn that on. The sounds on this aircraft is absolutely fantastic. Let's go ahead and turn it down a little bit. Okay, we'll turn on the other lights at another time. We'll just work our way across. We don't need these switches on, not yet anyway. Probably gonna need our heating systems. These are your engine anti-ice. Turn that on. This is the radar, windscreen and radar dome anti-ice. Go ahead and turn on the autopilot. AC primary bus, turn that on. Emergency battery, we'll leave that right there. Okay, these are your igniters. I don't think we need them after the engine is started. Okay. Okay. Turn on your generators. Left click both and it goes to the generator position. Gets rid of that light. Inverters are on. Igniters we don't need right now. Anti-skid, we'll turn that on. Stall warning, turn those on. And hydraulic pump, we'll turn that on. And we'll move our light switches to taxi. Turn on the no smoking fasten seatbelt. Horn silence. Spoiler reset. Do that right there. Come over here. Cabin pressurization, I'm not going to worry about that. Just leave that the way it is. Coming on down here. These will set once we're in cruise. Let's give ourselves 8 degrees flaps. And we want to set this to total fuel. Okay. These are your fuel management systems. The yaw damper will turn on once we're in cruise. Let's go ahead and set that to, I think we want GPS. Okay, and ADF, we can leave this right here. This is COM2 and NAV2. We don't need those right now. And I think that's it. Alright, let's go ahead and get ourselves set up. Let's go ahead and cruise at 32,000 feet. Right click, hold down, and you can use your scroll wheel. There. Runway 9 is in effect, left and right. So, right there, and right there. And with regards to our takeoff speed, this is your little speed bug. Let's go ahead and rotate at about, I don't know, 120 should be fine. I'm pretty sure there's a way to compute the rotate speed, but don't need to get that detailed here. 2200 on the transponder, and we can go ahead and set it to standby. We can go ahead and warm up our weather radar. And just leave it at test for now. 20 miles. And I think we're ready to taxi. Let's go ahead and call. We'll cancel the flight plan once we are in the air. Let's hope to God the simulator doesn't crash with me. This works with P3D, but I don't think I installed it with P3D. Alright, do we want to push back, or we can just taxi in between? Let's get a pushback. Alright, let's do our taxi checklist. Generators are good. GPU is disconnected. Fuel computer is good. Spoilers are down. Anti-ice are on. Seatbelts are good. Windshield heat is good. Hydraulic pressure is good. Circuit breakers are all good. Parking brake before taxi is complete. Alright, let's get going. Oh, also, in this plane, before you go anywhere taxiing, you have to do that. Enable nose wheel steering. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere. Alright, let's get going. Miami to Kingston, folks. Or Fort Lauderdale to Kingston, folks. This is a very popular route among us Caribbean simmers. 560 plus miles. Takes about hour and a half, 2 hours ish. Also, I need to set my trim. There we go. And that should take care of the light. And it does. This aircraft, Bill Lear, I think his name is William Lear, his plan was to arm the European countries with a jet-powered fighter jet. And he came up with some designs back in post-World War II Europe. But nobody was interested. So he was like, screw you guys, I'm going home. So he came back to the United States and set up shop in Wichita, Kansas, which is where all the other aircraft manufacturers were at the time, and he pilfered aeronautical engineers from the other aircraft designers or airplane manufacturers in Kansas, and he designed and built his Learjet. Now, as it turns out, he almost went bankrupt, running out of money, and one of the test flights actually saved his company. He crashed his Learjet. And the insurance payout was what was able to keep his company afloat. And the rest, as I say, is history. Alright, a very short taxi. This Learjet behaves quite a lot like the FSX Learjet in that it will run away with you. The Learjet is famous for being able to overspeed on one engine. I'm going to do that. So once I take off, I'm only going to bring the throttle up to maybe 75%. And once I take off, I'm going to back it down to like 50% so I can manage my speed. Alright, let's go ahead and get the lights in order. Okay, we want there. And move this to there. And everything else appears to be good. We'll leave that on for now. Also, this plane gets up to takeoff speed in no time. I'm not sure if it's an accurate simulation, but this thing, I mean, it's a rocket ship. Alright. Let's see if I can do this, folks. Let's see if I can do this. And I'm not sure what I need to do to change the brightness on my GPS because I can barely see my route. Or did I not set my altimeter? So reckless. Alright, folks, here we go. Just like that, I'm already at my rotate speed. V1, rotate. Positive rate, tap the brakes, gear up. Flaps up 1. Alright, before I check in, let's go ahead and get the autopilot in order. Alright, so what I want to do is engage that. I'll select and it's my vertical speed. There. Alright, come off the gas. Gonna watch the speed with this thing. Let's go ahead and move our heading bug to 250. We want to hold it at 250. Vertical speed is being held as we get higher and higher. We need to trim down. Alright, 15,000. Okay, overspeeding. 15,000. Damn it. Okay, select. I'm climbing! And I haven't even made my turn yet. 095. Okay, let's get up there. Vertical speed. There we go. Okay. Still on course. We're gonna cancel our flight plan. I'm gonna forget about ATC while I get above this bad weather. Alright, there we go. Let's get above these clouds and we should be good. Watch the speed with this turbulence. There we go. Let's turn on the weather radar. Give it some gas. Maintain our speed. Alright, we got a turn coming up. Alright, good. ATC off my back. Alright, coming up on 14,000. Let's go ahead and take this up to 30,000. Let's get it over with. 32 should be fine. Alright, we're in business, folks. We are in business. Throttle is at 75%, climbing up at about 1,500 feet per minute. Got to keep an eye on my speed. As we maintain this vertical speed, the higher we go, my speed's going to come down. Don't want to stall. Alright, let's do some housekeeping. turn off my landing lights. 2992 on the altimeter. I'll just go ahead and set it right now. That's not my altimeter. Gotta keep an eye on the speed. We're at 250, which is fine. Coming up on a turn. At this point, what I can do is we are on GPS, so I can go ahead and switch it to nav. And what it's going to do is it's just going to go ahead and get me on course-ish. And that's it, folks. Got my takeoff looking good. This weather looks absolutely fantastic. Speed, getting a little bit carried away. Let's bring it back a little bit. You gotta watch the speed with the Learjet. It will run away with you. TFDI Designs. They have an add-on. It's an immersion package. They make it for a select few aircraft. PMDG, their own Boeing 717, and as it turns out, this plane. The immersion has to do with lights and raindrops on the windscreen and all that kind of stuff that makes it look really, really fancy and pretty cool. So I don't have that package. I probably won't get it. So anyhow, folks, that's it for this part of my experience with the Lear 35 Alpha. It's my second time flying this plane. It definitely requires a lot of your attention. Documentation doesn't say anything about shared cockpit. Otherwise, you definitely need somebody's help getting this thing going. And that's all I have for now. We'll pick it up in the subsequent video during the descent and approach and landing at Norman Manley International Airport. My name is Flightsimguy. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.